Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this morning we're talking about the third annual Community Health Fair that is happening today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us here today, Frank. Appreciate you.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about because today is the health fair from 1 to 3 p.m. Well, let's start first. Where's that?
Happening at Apple Ridge Senior Living.
Perfect.
In Horseheads, New York.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now, 844-617-0440.
The World Series on WYDC TV Big Fox is brought to you by ServU Credit Union.
Isn't this important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Race drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, this may be your last chance to get Angel View at this low price. There is a strict limit of 2 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-869-5346. That's 1-800-869-5346. Or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-869-5346 now.
Should be electric today.
The crowd, the atmosphere, this is what makes it special.
Here we go!
This is what we do!
Sensational!
Big noon kickoff.
Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. And I'm so glad that you've joined us because we have a busy show, and it's Fridays with Phil, which is always a very exciting Friday on the program. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be our guest. I'll tell you the lineup as it stands thus far for the next week, little over a week, with guests so that you can be the most informed about who you're going into the voting booth to cast your ballot for. First, let's start off with some messages from viewers, shall we? These were after yesterday's program or before today's program, however you want to look at it. First, Frank, I have to agree with the viewer who questioned the defamation of character and why politicians seem immune to any consequences. I seethe every time I see an ad against Trump with so many blatant lies that have been proven to be false. It is very, very frustrating. And again, I know while President Donald Trump had spoke about it, maybe changing those rules, nothing really came from it. The media was in a tizzy and an uproar over it. There's rules about being a public figure that really make it almost off limits to go after someone defaming their character. It is frustrating, and I totally understand it, and the political ads are very frustrating. Next up, a comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I'm a bit worried that unless Trump wins in a, quote, too big to rig, thank you, that was the term I was looking for yesterday. I know J.D. Vance says it a lot. Too big to rig is how the Trump-Vance ticket call it. So unless Trump wins in a too big to rig landslide, they will drag the count out like last election, maybe even for days in order to keep Trump out. That is obviously a frustration or concern is a better word. And we're going to talk about early voting because of what you had to say, because it kind of ties in. There is, if you recall back in 2016 when Trump had won, there were people even calling for electors to really protest vote and vote for Hillary and just completely bypass the will of the people. That's why this whole idea of Trump being a threat to democracy can be so maddening for people, because we see so many steps being taken to even stop him from running, right? Keeping him off the ballot. They want to keep him off the primary ballot in so many states, if you recall. The lawfare, the list goes on and on. But yes, I remember back in 2016, and I remember specifically for whatever reason, Rosie O'Donnell being one of the louder voices saying that the elector that ultimately cast the vote that you cast, I know it's an interesting system, telling them don't vote for him. Vote against the will of the people, essentially. That's how much we dislike Trump. So we've got to remember, yes, the hatred has only grown over this time since 2016. But remember, it was there really from day one. But that's why many are encouraging, and we're going to talk specifically with former Congressman Joe Sempolinski about it next Thursday, but why Republicans, and one of the reasons is because he's also the chairman of the Steuben County Republican Party. I want to talk to him about the early voting and why Republicans and specifically Trump and Vance are calling for early voting. But as of right now, I think it was at 5 a.m. this morning, the last time it was updated, 37,715,420 mail-in and early person votes have been cast nationally. Now, tomorrow marks the first day of early voting in New York. And I know I keep asking the question, will you early vote? If not, why? Just out of curiosity. There's no right or wrong answer, in my opinion. It's just I think a preference, but as I said, Republicans and Trump specifically calling for people to vote early. I am going to this year just for the sake of trying it. Having never done it before, obviously I voted before, but never early voting before. Now, Donald Trump celebrated the record early voting numbers that he's received so far at his Arizona rally, saying the numbers are the, quote, biggest he's ever seen, but still told his voters to come out on Election Day. Now, the initial returns from key states look better for Trump than both the 2016 and 2020 elections. 2020 was obviously a little different with COVID and like that, but early voting, and that's when the rules changed. And we may not like the rules, specifically the early voting by mail, which is basically no questions asked that you can absentee. No question asked, absentee. Now, if you've done absentee in the past, you know that there's certain provisions of why you can do it. It's a legal document saying I can't be there because of X, Y, or Z. The early mail-in voting, early voting by mail, is really, I just want to do it. I just don't want to be there on election day. So it's really, there's a lot of pushback on that, and rightfully so. But that's one of the many rules that changed during COVID. But the fact of the matter is we may not like the rules, but they are the rules. And sometimes you have to play the game. And that's kind of the mindset of why they're pushing for the early voting. Now, Trump's team is bullish about the election and about their election victory, saying things are looking good. Overall, both nationally and in battleground states, we are seeing strong returns for Republicans so far, a Trump campaign advisor said. From where we are sitting now, things look pretty good. Encouraging signs across the board. The voter registration gains in all partisan registration states have been tremendously in our favor. As of Monday, the number of Republican registered early voters in the swing states of Arizona, North Carolina, Nevada, and Pennsylvania were up double digits from 2020. Meanwhile, the number of returned mail-in ballots are down quite substantially from 2020 in Pennsylvania, as well as 79% in Georgia and 25% in Michigan. A possible sign that Democrats, the main practitioners of mail-in voting, are not turning out for Harris the way they did for Joe Biden 4 years ago. Republicans are also seeing sustained overperformance in Virginia and Ohio, the Trump advisor had said. Quote, it's certainly too early to begin declaring victory, but it is certainly worth pointing out that our share of the early vote is turning in the right direction. Now, I want to say, and I understand why they're talking about this. I know Trump said, I'm not supposed to say this, but the numbers I'm looking at are really, really good. And I know that's exciting. You pump up the crowd, but that doesn't mean you take this lightly. You've always got to be playing. I'm not saying Trump. He's, of course, still, look how many rallies he's doing. But as a voter, you can't sit back and say, well, everybody else is doing it. I'm good. I'm not going to go out. Oops, I forgot to early vote, and now I don't feel like going out on election day. It can't be that. You've always got to consider yourself, 20 points behind, and fight like you're 20 points behind. Despite the good vibes, Trump has urged his supporters to turn out early and in record numbers so that the election is, quote, too big to rig. President Trump continues to dominate in poll after poll. Republicans have made massive voter registration gains, and we are far outperforming in our share of the early vote relative to 2 or 4 years ago across all battleground states, said Carolyn Leavitt, the national press secretary for Trump 2024. Voters know that Kamala Harris has destroyed our country, but President Trump will fix it, and that is why he is well positioned for victory on November the 5th. On the other side, Democrats have expressed visible nervousness, and I think that's why you're seeing the all-out fascism attacks, comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler. I did not realize when Kamala Harris was calling Trump a fascist, I did not realize that was her first press conference, that it was an emergency press conference. So I think yesterday I misspoke. I thought that was at a rally. That was my mistake. She did do her first press conference, and it was a quote-unquote emergency press conference. But former President Barack Obama and Harris's campaign manager, Jen O'Malley Dillon, say that they believe the election will be, quote, tight. We have yet to see the same kind of energy and turnout in all corners of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running, Obama said earlier in the month. Another top Harris surrogate, former President Bill Clinton, said Wednesday in Arizona that Harris is, quote, extremely vulnerable, more vulnerable than she deserves to be. Did you see that, by the way? Clinton's rally. Some of the weird things he said. I hope we'll be able to get to that a little bit later on. One party insider said they're not thinking blue wall at all. They're just not thinking. Her press operation is that of a first-time congressional candidate running as a sacrificial lamb. That's an anonymous source, but within the Democrat Party, a Democrat Party insider. Okay, I've got a couple quick political things that are kind of across the board, and then we're going to dive into the presidential race. Before that, I want to start your morning with this, because all of that was in response to that viewer's comment. But sometimes when we're in New York and we see all the troubles, and we're going to talk with the assemblyman about it, the Office of Cannabis Management, the illegal immigration in New York City, you think public safety issues that we talk about so frequently on this program, you start to think, I hope Albany or New York City, for instance, with Mayor Adams and his troubles, maybe they start taking things seriously. Maybe they start listening to the voters. Maybe we can turn this state around. And then I see this piece coming out yesterday. Yes, yesterday evening. New York City may give pet owners paid time off to care for sick animals. Lawmakers are considering amending a sick leave law so that New York City pet owners take time off, pay time off to care for those sick pet owners. That's what the New York City Council, never mind about public safety, never mind about illegal immigration, never mind about the myriad of problems that they're having in New York City right now. Let's focus on what's important, and that is allowing pet owners to use paid sick leave to care for their animals. It was sponsored by Manhattan, Democrat Sean Abreu, and it would amend the Earned Safe and Sick Time Act, which requires companies to offer paid time off for personal or family illnesses. The new provisions would include both pets and service animals. Now, the vague wording of the proposal means it's more than just dogs and cats that would be covered. The wording says, quote, an animal kept primarily for companionship in compliance with all applicable laws would be covered. The vagueness of that is very reminiscent of Prop 1, leaving the door open for so many problems. Quote, we want to make people feel comfortable taking care of their animals, Abreu told WCBS. He claims the bill will help address the mental health crisis in the city. Don't worry about the public safety crisis or illegal immigration crisis. That's just to start your morning off with, I guess, a kind of a wacky, wild Friday story, and it's New York City, so I guess you should be prepared for it. If that is something that interests you, and if that is something that sounds good to you, maybe start looking into apartments in New York City. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Just getting started on what I know is going to be an exciting and fun Friday edition of Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now 844-617-0440.
The World Series on WYDC TV Big Fox is brought to you by ServU Credit Union.
Isn't this important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Great drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, this may be your last chance to get Angel View at this low price. There is a strict limit of 2 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-869-5346. That's 1-800-869-5346. Or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-869-5346 now.
Should be electric today.
The crowd, the atmosphere, this is what makes it special.
Here we go.
This is what we do.
Sensational.
Big noon kickoff.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. A comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I need a week off. My pet Rock is not feeling well. Yes, why not? Move this city And I say give it a shot. I don't think any employer would dare challenge you. That's how wild things have gotten. Another comment from a different viewer. The sick pet thing is more of a magician's sleight of hand, feel-good distraction like everything else. Good point. There's just quickly, I just wanted to mention this. Kristen Fleming from the New York Post says, hating someone for their political preference is self-defeating. And Taylor Swift proves that. I think there's too much of this Taylor Swift talk in politics. But having said that, she raises a good point. She had sent a thank you note to a big fan of hers that always supported her, which is that Dave Portnoy. It has to do with sports writing, I believe. I don't know much about him, I'm not going to lie. But it turns out he is a Trump supporter. She, of course, a Harris supporter. So instantly the media turned on her saying, how could she? Did she not know? It's a truly baffling decision. Swift has decided to be friendly with Dave Portnoy. It goes to show you, and I don't envy celebrities in that way, that, okay, if you're not saying enough, that means you're not using your soapbox, and that means that you are a Trump supporter or that you're not doing enough. Or then you endorse somebody 1 year, like Taylor Swift, and then they go, but if she doesn't endorse Harris this time, it's all for nothing and she's a turncoat. And then if you're not speaking loudly enough, so you might say, I support this person, but you're not rallying with them. There's all this pushback. So how dare her not lose friends because of her support for Harris? And this is what, and I thought it was an important point to make, and I would ask your thoughts on it. Kristen Fleming says, all the pathetic cutting off people thing feels very Trump's first term. And her meaning that when, and I'm sure many of you experienced it, when Trump won in 2016, I noticed at the time, when this meant something to me, I suppose, that my Facebook friend number dropped off significantly, blocked, and this happened to many people. In her defiant act of being friends with people who might disagree with her, Swift has stood up for sanity, showing that relationships transcend what happens in a small booth every 4 years in November. Burrowing yourself into an ideological silo isn't healthy. It's cowardly. It will only stifle your worldview. This goes for righties as well as lefties. Your politics can be red or blue, but your social circle should never deliberately be not purple. Otherwise, you're giving a politician you hate much more control over your life, which feels very much like a self-own. And I'm not crazy about that term self-own, but she raises a very good point there. You are giving that politician, whoever it is that you hate, way too much power if you lose a family member, a friend, loved one, over political support. Your thoughts on that? Okay, hey, Congressman Nick Langworthy announced yesterday nearly $16 million in federal funding are going to upgrade the rail engines and create jobs in Steuben County. The grant will be used to repower 2 existing locomotives with advanced engine technology, meeting modern standards for performance and efficiency. Oh, I have the wrong one up there. I was prepared until I restarted my computer. According to the congressman, the $16 million project represents a significant investment in the future of Steuben County and in the southern tier. By upgrading outdated rail technology with advanced systems, we're enhancing our infrastructure while creating good-paying jobs that will strengthen our local economy. As an advocate for the hardworking people of this region, I'm committed to ensuring that we continue to attract projects that bolster U.S. manufacturing and welcome opportunities for continued growth. Okay, that's kind of our local, all over the place start to the program. Now let's dive into the presidential race. Now, Harris's CNN town hall that many people are calling a disaster, just from some of her answers, not expecting perhaps Anderson Cooper to actually press her on getting an answer. And even if you looked at what David Axelrod said, so many others in that CNN panel, some of the names escape me, but the CNN panel, of all places, saying that she didn't do a good job, saying that it wasn't her night. Well, that town hall garnered 2.5 million viewers. Now, that gives you an idea of what CNN's dealing with right now. I went to their website this morning. It is the articles you have to pay for now. Well, you're saying 2.5 million, that's not bad. You know that Harris's interview on Fox got 7.8 million with Bret Baier. So quite a difference there. But a $2.5 million or 2.5 million viewer night for Harris on CNN. And I think this speaks to the fact, maybe because there's so many events going on, I did not know that was a big event, if I'm being honest. I didn't know that was even coming up. I'll show my ignorance there. So maybe that's why the numbers were so low. Now, Harris, I thought they raised a good point, and I meant to mention this, but Fox News found that during the CNN town hall in Chester, Pennsylvania, that got the 2.5 million views, Harris mentioned Trump by name 26 times, while Trump was mentioned overall by moderator Anderson Cooper or audience members a total of 43 times. That is a lot of times, folks. And this goes to the point, because many times she would pivot right to Trump. I mean, I can't remember the exact wording, but when Anderson Cooper asked Harris, who is a better friend, who will be a better friend to Israel, she said, all I know is Trump is dangerous. Those type of answers, because she doesn't have the substance there. And Anderson Cooper, I believe, it would have to be after the town hall saying as much, saying she focused on Trump instead of herself. And I think, I would ask the question, does that reach undecided voters? I can't imagine anybody is an undecided voter at this point, but does that reach undecided voters who don't know who they're going to vote for? You can vote for Trump, who we had a viewer that mentioned it yesterday, which I thought was a very good point. For better or for worse, Trump sticks to his points, and you know who Trump is. Harris, on the other hand, going on the attack, and it's all about Trump, and now Trump is a fascist, et cetera, which I think is very troubling at a time when we were supposed to kind of tamp down the rhetoric because of 2 assassination attempts on Trump. The rhetoric has just increased. If you look at Hillary Clinton yesterday, saying that Hillary Clinton always seems to be a day behind the talking points, but she's saying that Trump is a fascist. Well, yesterday, Barack Obama, and Obama said similar yesterday, but Barack Obama joined Kamala Harris on the campaign trail. It was a celebrity-packed rally, which is, I'm not making any comparisons necessarily, except for it is very reminiscent of 2016 when Trump was having these huge rallies. And many of the times it was just him. I mean, yes, some local speakers to start it off kind of open. I know the only one I remember specifically when I was at the Vegas rally, and that was early on in Trump's campaign, the world's toughest sheriff, Joe Arpaio, spoke at the very beginning. That's the only one I remember. So it wasn't, he was an interesting character. And in full disclosure, I had the opportunity to interview him once or twice on radio. But that doesn't mean he's what you consider a quote-unquote celebrity. But he was, to make a short story long here, Trump was packing in huge crowds, Hillary not as much, so they had to call in the celebrities, and even then not getting to the numbers that Trump was at. Again, and then the media was telling us it's all anecdotal. These rallies are all just anecdotal. But I think the working class people, especially in the swing states, they're not as impressed as New York City media is with celebrity and celebrity endorsement. I think if you're working, a long day, 12-hour day, maybe you're working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table, just put gas in your tank. I just don't think being lectured by, for instance, Bruce Springsteen was there yesterday. Bruce Springsteen, last I even checked, which was probably 10 years ago, well before COVID, he was getting something like $100 for general admission tickets to his concerts. So, and then he would lecture those audience members about the 1%ers. So it's tough. And I can't remember, did he sell his musical catalog? Was he one of the people that made a fortune off that? I believe so. So I guess it's just hard to be lectured by people like that to tell us how we should live, how much better life would be as we're struggling with inflation, while we're struggling with gas prices. It's just, I don't know, it seems off-putting to me more than it is, wow, she got Bruce Springsteen? Obama saying we do not need 4 years of a wannabe king, a wannabe dictator, running around trying to punish his enemies. That's not what you need in your life. America's ready to turn the page. We are ready for a better story. Turn the page. I know what they're trying to say there, to just get away from the Trump years. It still sounds very weird to me when you have someone in office for the last, basically 4 years. Let's just say 4 years. And we're being told to turn the page by voting for them. Obama raged that Trump accused him of taking credit for my economy in his pursuit of a second term in the Oval Office. I handed over 75 straight months of job growth to Donald Trump, and all he did was give tax cuts to folks who didn't need it. Wow. It's amazing rewriting history, isn't it? Anyway, yes, some celebrities were there. I know, again, Bruce Springsteen getting hundreds of dollars for tickets. That's just for general admission. I'm not even talking about, front row or something like that, lecturing us about tax cuts for the rich, and Trump's only out for the rich. All I know, and I think this is what it all boils down to at the end of the day, and so many people said it, at the end of the day, when did you feel more financially secure, under Trump or these last 4 years? There's your question. All right, let's go to a break. I'm going to be running late this morning. It's the kind of morning we're having, but I'm having so much fun. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Ranger 1000 is equipped for whatever comes your way. If you have the know-how to take on what comes, the new Ranger 1000 delivers what you need to make short work of it.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
Rich drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99 through this special offer. But wait, this may be your last chance to get Angel View at this low price. There is a strict limit of 2 Angel Views per order while supplies last. Order now.
Call 1-800-869-5346. That's 1-800-869-5346. Or visit getangelview.com. So call 1-800-869-5346 now.
Football's newest show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's
Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. They bring us that beautiful view from the roof cam as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio on historic Marcus Street. Okay, here's the Bill Clinton comments. This is he had a very odd day. He's had a couple very odd days, hasn't he? With some of the rallies that he's been holding for Kamala Harris. He said Arizona Republican Senate candidate Kari Lake's looks, talked about her looks. And then this is also in the same speech where he talked about Kamala Harris as extremely vulnerable, which are weird words to use. Clinton said, this is Bill Clinton, who again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, still shocked that he's on the campaign trail because for about 5 minutes, he was a political pariah. He was not allowed to campaign for people. This was during the height of the Me Too movement because they're obviously such a checkered past. So they weren't having him on campaign trails. Senator Gillibrand kind of disavowed them, even though Hillary and Bill helped her out throughout her whole career. She distancing herself from the Clintons, but specifically Bill, disavowing him because, again, this was in the height of the Me Too movement. Now he's back on the campaign trail. So this is what he had to say yesterday. This is like a beautiful microcosm of the campaign that Kamala Harris is running for president. You got a person, and that is Representative Ruben Gallego, that grew up under sometimes challenging circumstances, who made something of his life, running against someone, meaning Lake, who is physically attractive. Okay, so that's his reference to Republican senatorial candidate Kari Lake, running against someone, Lake, who is physically attractive but believes that politics is a performance art. Clinton then compared Lake to Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, arguing that both men are submissive to Trump, but made an unfortunate stumble, and I will not repeat it over the air, but of the word, I'm not going to say the word. Like J.D. Vance, I'm not going to say the word. So then he continued. He said, I was physically, this is what Lake said in response to hearing about that. He said, I was physically attractive. I woke up to this news this morning. As a middle-aged woman, I'm flattered. I'm flattered, okay? I don't get those kinds of compliments every day. 2, I thought I was a little too old for him. Doesn't he like interns? He went on, wow, good for her. He went on to, and Bill went on to say about Harris, but she is extremely vulnerable, more vulnerable than she deserves to be through crazy attacks. So they've been thinking, the Republicans, all this time, how can we go on the attack? Just odd. But yes, Kari Lake saying he paid me a compliment. He said I was physically attractive. I woke up to this news this morning. First of all, you know what? As a middle-aged woman, I'm flattered. I'm flattered. Okay, I don't get those kind of compliments every day. 2, I thought I was a little too old for him. Doesn't he like interns? I'm happily married to my husband, Jeff. Nobody in their right mind wants to cross Hillary Clinton. It's just dangerous. No, but actually I want to return a compliment to Bill Clinton because I think he was the last Democrat who actually talked about the need to end illegal immigration. That's a good response to that from Kari Lake running for Senate in Arizona. But you're starting to see, and it's going to be interesting this last week because the media is doing this where you have these hit pieces coming out. It's interesting. The Vice President Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, his ex-girlfriend who said that he hit her, she's not to be believed. It's on none of the major outlets, even though she gave that interview in the United Kingdom, not to be believed. But they are focusing laser-like on a model who also happens to be what's the word I'm looking for? Not just a Democrat, but works for the Democrat Party. I don't want to say operative, but definitely active in the Democrat Party. She came out and said that Trump groped her at one point, which, again, all of this just the same with Kelly and his comments, which is, we learned later, is old news that he had said it before. Why all these things come out at the end of October in 2024? I mean, that should raise red flags. But it only raises a red flag when it hurts Harris, and it's not all women when it's Harris's campaign that would be affected. It's only when it's for Donald Trump, and it's the same old playbook. I mean, we saw this in 2020. Of course, we saw in 2016, which was still politically one of the most brilliant things when I believe it was the Access Hollywood tape came out. And that was, I don't remember the time frame, but I think that was the quote-unquote October surprise. But it wasn't that late. But it was going, boy, this is going to bring down Trump. This is it. You had typical Rhino Republicans saying, we got to get somebody, I know it's almost too late, but we got to get somebody else. Maybe Chris Christie can do it, that type of thing. I remember it like it was yesterday when you talk about the media's coverage of it and Republicans just looking to throw each other under the bus, hand over fist. And so Trump says, I'm going to hold a press conference. It was right before a presidential debate. And he goes, I'm going to hold a press conference in regards to this. So, the press just chomping at the bit. Show up at this press conference. They open up the floor. And who's there with Trump? It was all the people that have, not all, but some of the people that have accused former President Clinton of sexual harassment, other things going further than that. Sexual assault. So it was something you would not normally see in the world of politics. I remember at that time going, wow, what a way to kind of defuse that bomb. But now you have a new person saying and tying it somehow in with Epstein. But I noticed that was front and center on CNN's website this morning. But I clicked on the article and I'm not a subscriber, so you can't read. They must be really struggling over there, maybe for obvious reasons. The Trump camp, let's take a break. Let me catch up on this one. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Isn't your most important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Why it's hard to stop a train? It's how we've invented products that reinvented our world. It's how we test as hard as the elements do. It's how we run.
Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning in Corning, New York is a local, veteran-owned and operated company with over 25 years experience. From service and repair to new installations, trust the experts at Aaron's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Now there's a product that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it for you. Introducing the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your ingredients and walking away and coming back to meals that cook up to 60% faster. No more stirring food. StirMax technology automatically rotates the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise, so it stirs it for you. Powerful enough to even shred food. Then the 7.5 quart pot goes right to the table to serve. With a premium ceramic coating, nothing sticks. And it's dishwasher safe. Now you can try the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. You also get the steamer and rice basket for healthy meals, StirMax serving spoon that snaps in place for easy serving, and $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order all absolutely free. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order now.
The Boss Security Roof Cam. Contact Boss Security in Horseheads today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio. Coming up in a little bit, I forgot to mention, we're going to be talking with our friends from Apple Ridge about their health fair today. Just a quick little interview. Also, don't forget, and I know we played the interview yesterday, and we had a great time chatting with Sylvia and Liesel. They have that Walk for Life coming up tomorrow in Corning. It's at 1 p.m. The two over at the Corning High School came together and just planned it all on their own. And I was happy to have them on the show, and we received a lot of viewer comments thanking them for standing up for life. So Corning Walk for Life in Corning, that was a great way to put it, Frank. The Corning Walk for Life is in Centerway in Corning on October 26th. So that's tomorrow at 1 p.m., which is also the first day of early voting. Don't forget. I wanted to mention, too, Phil is on today. We are going to hear from Apple Ridge here in just a few moments. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Also, coming up on the schedule for the next week, this is all subject to change. It could have to move things around. Probably will have some additions as well. Some people waiting the very, very last minute. Please don't do that. Please contact, well, you should have contacted me a little bit before this, but if you are running for office, you see the number on the bottom of the screen, please feel free to reach out. On Monday, we're going to be talking with Michaela Rossetti Azimi. She's running for Steuben County Court Judge and Steuben County Family Court Judge. It's a double-part position. She will be joining us on Monday. On Tuesday, running for New York State Supreme Court in the 7th Judicial District, Ed White. On Wednesday, Stacey Romeo, who is also running for New York State Supreme Court in the 7th Judicial District. She'll be joining us on Wednesday of next week. On Thursday, you know this will be a fun one, former congressman, current assembly candidate, and current Steuben County Republican chairman Joe Sempolinski will be joining us. And on Friday, it'll be round 2, and that's what I keep calling it with all of the Chemung County family court judges, because we've had him on all twice now with Matt Bozzetti, who's going to be on Friday at 6-ish in the morning, 6:20 in the morning. And then on also on Friday at 7:20, we'll be talking with Matt McCarthy, who is running for Steuben County Court and Steuben County Family Court Judge. And then on Monday, the day before election, I know this is a long list, sorry. The day before the election, we're going to be talking with our friend Bobby Ann Cox about Proposition 1. She did such a fantastic job last time with Senator Borrello. I asked her to please, if she could, return and be on the show. And I thought of perfect timing right before Election Day. Okay, quick story before we talk to our friends at Apple Ridge. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said yesterday on The Source on CNN that she found it so distressing that Americans, perhaps someone even folks like you, would vote for Donald Trump. Here we are, it's 12 days before the election of the President of the United States of America. It's absolutely bonkers that we're talking about what he might do to violate the law to punish his political opponents. You know, I think Trump made a really good point the other day. He was saying that he would consider pardoning Hunter Biden because he doesn't feel it's good for the country. He said, I could have went after Hillary Clinton. It would have been easy, but I didn't because I didn't feel it was good for the country. But you know who has, and he didn't say this part, I'm adding to it, who has went after their political opponent with lawfare? It's the same people that are screaming from the rooftops that they're scared of Trump going after his opponents. Yes, it's the Democrats, but I'll continue with what Hillary had to say. I mean, this is so un-American. I've been around longer than you have, and I've agreed and disagreed with presidents, Democrats, and Republicans over a lot of decades. I was on the impeachment inquiry staff that investigated President Nixon, and eventually he was forced to resign after the evidence came out because he was abusing the office of the presidency, which looks like Mayberry compared to some of the stuff we've seen recently. But isn't it interesting, because she brings that up, because wasn't she kicked off that? There's something there. But anyway, how can we be back here, even entertaining the idea that someone who frankly makes Nixon look like a lesser threat because of the kinds of things that Trump is saying and the kind of coziness he exhibits towards people like Putin? Oh, going back to Russia, nice. How can we even be at this point where Americans could say, I want more of that? It's just truly so distressing to me on that front. So it's distressing that you may actually vote for Trump. I don't know if you will or not, but if it is, it's bothering Hillary Clinton to no extent. I mean, it's breaking her heart. You know, it's interesting too, and I don't know always how to word this, but it's distressing to her that you want to go back to the days of kind of, they would call it the Trump chaos, right? But who's creating that chaos? It was the media with a new fake scandal every day. It was Hillary Clinton pushing Russia. It was all this. So it's almost like they want you to reward them by voting for them for the chaos that they created in this regards to Trump by saying, hey, there won't be that chaos if Trump isn't there. Rewarding bad behavior, essentially. Trump's campaign slammed Hillary Clinton for also claiming, this is what Hillary Clinton claimed, that the ex-president will be reenacting the 1939 Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. Now, we know Trump is going to be at Madison Square Garden, and there was some Democrat that came out and said, let's compare it to the Nazi rally in 1939. And then all of a sudden, like talking points do, someone else will say and think they're brilliant, even though they stole it from somebody a week ago. And that's what Hillary Clinton did. Sadly, here in America, the term fits. And you know, one thing that you'll see next week is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. That's what Hillary Clinton said. I wrote about this in my book. Oh, that's so sad that she keeps saying that. Her book not selling very well. This is the third book that she's done, basically relitigating the 2016 election. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for this kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it. Trump campaign press secretary Carolyn Levitt said Hillary Clinton is so messed up from her raging 8-year-long case of anti-Trump derangement syndrome that she forgot she did an event at Madison Square Garden when she was a senator and her husband Bill accepted the Democratic nomination there. Putting aside her hypocrisy, Hillary's rhetoric about half of the country is disgusting. Kayleen Dorr, a former Trump administration official, said this is deeply disturbing rhetoric that is not only irresponsible to use against someone who survived multiple assassination attempts, it demonizes half the country, and it belittles the pain of actual Holocaust survivors. Kamala will lose, just like this nasty woman. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. When we come back, our friends from Apple Ridge right after this break. So stay with us. Looking for my button. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now 844-617-0440.
World Series on WYDC TV Big Fox is brought to you by Servview Credit Union.
Is it most important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Fox College Ball Friday and Big Noon Saturday kick off a whole new era of college football with new matchups, historic rivalries, and all of the Big 10, Big 12, and Mountain West action. This is the season we've all been waiting for. College football on Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Akam. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and this morning we're talking about the 3rd annual Community Health Fair that is happening today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us here today, Frank. Appreciate you.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about because today is the health fair from 1 to 3 p.m. Well, let's start first. Where's it at?
Happening at Apple Ridge Senior Living.
Perfect.
In Horseheads, New York.
I want to find out more about Apple Ridge in just a moment, but I know you've partnered up with RAD, which is Resources and Advocacy for the Aging and Disabled. Could you tell us about RAD specifically?
Yeah, RAD is a local 501c3 nonprofit, actually originated from this area. It's comprised of several human services organizations that care for the aging and disabled population in the area. So there's bunch of facets of healthcare and services that this agency represents to help that demographic.
And we were talking off the air, and I find this remarkable. Tell us about the resource directory book. That sounds like it's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah. So it's actually free to the public. What it does is it lists all of the health service organizations, local resources that are available in the Chemung, Steuben, Schuyler, and Allegheny regions. We like to have a print version of it available for the individuals that don't like to pull up their smartphones and try to Google something. Obviously that demographic is not very tech savvy in a lot of ways. So it's free. We do it every year, and we try to update it every year, and everybody raves about it. So,
well, how can someone get the resource directory book?
So I personally hand them out, actually. So you can email me, you can contact me. I will share some information. You'll be able to get them at the health fair as well. There will be a nice big table full of them there to be handed out. So.
Now let's talk about the health fair, and let's first start about Apple Ridge. For people that aren't familiar with Apple Ridge, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it is a very special place.
Yes.
112 beautiful apartments in a resort-style community living environment, and it's for seniors, so they're able to, shed the burden of home owning and simplify life so they can enjoy life within that resort-style community.
Yeah.
And move in and create their new now, which is something that I really feel fulfilled helping them do.
Of course. So. And you do so much for your residents, or whatever the official term is that you use, the people that are at Apple Ridge. Is this one of those, just one of many examples, right? This health fair of what you do?
So a lot of them don't drive.
Sure.
We do provide some transportation as needed, but bringing the resources to them is really part of our commitment in providing them with a good whole life.
Yeah.
So it was something that Jeremy and I discussed when I joined RAD. as one of the participants and wanted to support that non-for-profit because obviously doing that would support my seniors in my community.
Of course.
So we got to talking about what would be beneficial, and the health fair came up, and so we host it. We provide refreshments, and we have raffle baskets.
Oh.
Everyone who comes brings a beautiful raffle basket for the seniors to all put a ticket in. We give them some free tickets so they don't even have to pay for those.
Wow, that's the best kind of raffle.
Yeah, we have a prize wheel. We make it fun, and they are able to get all the information they need about resources that they need, from the veterans office all the way, town and county offices that can support them, through all of the different agencies that are part of RAD. So it has been beneficial in my role.
Well, sure.
Primarily because I sometimes have people call me and I can't help them, but I'm able to refer them to RAD, and they have helped several people.
Well, how did this partnership begin? How was it that you decided to come together to do the third annual community health fair?
Primarily, I decided to check RAD out because I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. I want to kind of find out what they do and how it would, make my role better and how I can help my seniors. So just kind of joining that group, going to meetings, learning about what they do, and then kind of thinking, how can I support the group as a group member? Because I decided to join RAD because they do such a great thing. And that's really, we just decided to work on that together.
And again, RAD stands for Resources and Advocacy for the Aging and Disabled. Jeremy, can anybody join RAD? Can they volunteer? Can they help?
Ideally for human service professionals that are looking to, aid that demographic.
They can get involved.
They can get involved. We don't really have a volunteer program per se. We're still, relatively new in the community, trying to expand our presence. I mean, we do have other chapters that, operate specifically in other communities, but we're relying heavily on the local presence of the health resources. So.
We're talking about the third annual community health fair. It is today from 1 to 3 p.m. You mentioned it's obviously at Apple Ridge, but it's not just for Apple Ridge residents, correct? This is open for everybody.
We would love as many people who want to come from our senior Tri-County, Quad County area to come and partake. That's what it's for. It's for everyone. It's open to the public, and
free
we want
of cost.
people to come and enjoy that. And there's no cost. You'll have some nice refreshments. Our chef is going to put out some beautiful things, and so come eat, have fun, play games, get a raffle prize, and collect a lot of good information and talk to people that you may need help.
And so come with, I would think, questions too, because you're offering so many, 25, 30 agencies, service providers. It's really got something for everybody if you just have some questions to ask, right?
Absolutely. We got answers for you. So.
Yeah, well, good. Should anybody bring anything or just yourselves?
No. Bring yourself, bring questions, just be ready to familiarize yourself with services that you may not have known existed, and that's one of the goals of the group is to bring awareness to services you may not need now but might need sometime down the road. And there's a lot of good senior organizations that have lots of programs that are just very helpful.
So come prepared to learn. How's that? It sounds a little hokey, but I say come prepared to learn. So where can people find out more about the third annual health fair?
On
and
our
Apple
website.
Ridge. And Apple Ridge.
Yeah, so they can go right to www.appleridgeseniorliving.com.
Okay.
We post all the events there and all the information there. They can certainly call us if they're needing a little more directional information or that kind of thing. We are conveniently located right off of 86 off of Westinghouse on Miller.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to get to. Ample parking, and if they needed assistance, they can pull up to the front door and someone will help them get in.
Okay.
So absolutely, we'd love to have as many people come as possible.
Well, great. The third annual community health fair today from 1 to 3. I hope that everybody can make it out, and that is at Apple Ridge. Well, Libby, Jeremy, thanks so much for being on the show.
I appreciate your time.
All right, best of luck today. Enjoy it, right?
Thanks so much.
And you guys can relax when it's over. It's probably a long day, right? All right.
It's a lot of fun.
We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
You and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
The Boss Security Roof Cam. Visit Boss Security in Horseheads today for all your business and home security needs. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much to our friends from Apple Ridge for being on the program. Back to the political world, journalist Mark Halperin. Now, his goal is to report the data on the race without any spin. And he said on the morning meeting yesterday, it doesn't mean Trump's a great guy in the eyes of all America. It doesn't mean Trump's going to win. But where we are right now is there are increasing problems for the Democrat Party. You saw it in the punditry from Democrats on CNN after the town hall. You saw it on morning television. For Democrat pundits trying to be poker-faced, they are clearly feeling what a lot of Democrat donors are feeling and Democrat elected officials are feeling, which is there's no time left for her to get better. And I think the biggest story of the news cycle is, along with Trump loves Hitler, which we'll talk about, is her performance last night was the last straw for a lot of Democrats. And that means at the CNN town hall, because they're saying that they'll get there, something like that. But will she be able to get better in less than 2 weeks? Where are we at? 11 days, maybe? Will she be able to all of a sudden change that? And I think that's to the point of why they keep calling Trump a fascist. It's because it's all they have. They're trying to scare the American public. Now, I've got a couple comments from viewers before we wrap up this hour. First off, they keep talking about, quote, turning the page. The book is just the same old Democratic story. I never needed a celebrity in my life. We need auto mechanics, electricians, carpenters, people that could do real life changes. And that ties in with the polling numbers that show that Trump is winning huge with union members in Pennsylvania. So thank you for that comment. A different comment, obviously, from a different viewer. The only reason I could think of regarding Clinton's and in general the Democrats trying to get people to believe that our next president, President Trump, would be a Nazi dictator, is to detract from their obvious socialist communist agenda. Thank you very much. I do think it's just a scare tactics at this point. They realize they can't run on Kamala Harris. When David Axelrod is talking about her word salad city, then you know it's getting bad, that they're seeing that there's not going to be substance, there's not going to be policy. Because keep in mind, it's not as if she all day is reading magazines, just waiting for the next town hall or the next rally. She has time to practice. She has time to call in Democrat experts to help hone her message. So this is with a honed in message, because she does not have, it looks as if, does not have the capability to think off the cuff. Yes, she's okay with teleprompter, but when it's an off the cuff remark, we get the word salads, or we get some of the crazy answers we got during the town hall, like ending the filibuster, packing the Supreme Court, et cetera, et cetera. We got to go. Hour number 1 in the books. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is going to join us at some point in hour number 2. Make sure you stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We'll be right back.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs.
Have you heard? ServU Credit Union is dropping their auto loan rates with the new buy or refi special. Right now, get an auto loan at 4.99% APR for 72 months. Whether you're buying a new vehicle or looking to refinance your current loan from another lender, ServU's low rates are available to all members, regardless of credit score. Apply online, over the phone, or in person, and drive off with confidence. ServU Credit Union, here to make your borrowing experience safe, easy, and affordable.
Our water's better tasting, it's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
You can tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Electric today. The crowd, the atmosphere, this is what makes it special. Here we go. This is what we do. Sensational. Big Noon Kick.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. So many great comments coming in. I appreciate it. It's not too late to get your questions in for Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, who'll be joining us a little bit later on just to kind of see it. Well, I think we can ask him how his re-election campaign's going, but since there's no opponent, I'm guessing it's going very well for him. We'll be talking with him a little bit later on about some of the issues of the day. A couple quick stories to get to because I know we're going to probably run out of time here to get everything I was hoping to discuss this morning. Did you see the story that J.D. Vance has? You may have heard it by now. This was kind of funny. J.D. Vance was on a town hall with Chris Cuomo, of all people. Chris Cuomo is a part of News Nation, as you may be aware. While he was doing the town hall, he gets a call, meaning the town hall did, not JD personally. It was a call into the show, and it was none other than Donald Trump. And he asks a question at the town hall. He says, I do have a question. I think it'll be quite an interesting one. The answer should be easy. How brilliant is Donald J. Trump? That got Vance and Cuomo and the audience full of allegedly undecided voters. And I say that not to mock News Nation or to mock Vance, of course. I just don't know how there's undecided voters at this point. But it was a whole crowd of undecided voters. So nice way to kind of, I wouldn't say cut the tension, nice way to show, that personal side to Donald Trump and have everybody laugh there for a little bit. So Vance replied saying, well, first of all, sir, this is supposed to be undecided voters. I would hope that I have your vote of all people. Meaning that he should have been asking the question. He's not an undecided voter. But yes, interesting to kind of, have that sense of humor, really maybe being able to relate to those undecided voters. He did go on to tell a story, which I thought was pretty cool. And you may have heard it by now. And I guess he said that his wife doesn't like the story being told, but he does it anyway. So he said, my wife is a little nervous to talk to the president of the United States. And this is the first time they kind of met. And he asks her, what do you think about your husband being in public service? Vance said his wife gives a very diplomatic answer to Trump, as you would. And that's when Trump says, he kind of chuckles. He says, yeah, my wife hates it too. And it immediately broke the barrier, Vance said. But you can see how desperate it is getting out there as we near Election Day with the hit pieces that we saw from The Atlantic, where you see Republicans in name only coming out and bad-mouthing Trump, the Liz Cheneys, but there's been, Fred Upton did the other day. It's all so cliche at this point. You can see how they're going to handle this, this new allegation with this model, but yet not reporting at all, even though they use the term so often, believe all women, not talking about Doug Emhoff and his ex saying that he hit her at one point, those type of things. How about this? For a hit piece. What is Usha Vance thinking? That's J.D. Vance's wife, of course. And it goes on to suggest that maybe she isn't even a MAGA Republican. Maybe she doesn't even support Donald Trump. This is the kind of thing, and let's add on to it. Melania Trump had her late mother's personal information and immigration records released. It's the long knives out at this point. Fred Upton endorsing Harris, calling Trump totally unhinged. All that and much more. But we've got Assemblyman Phil Palmisano coming in, so we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-977-4997. That's 1-800-977-4997, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
You and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-898-1002. That's 1-800-898-1002 or visit getidpolice.com. So call 1-800-898-1002. Order now.
Attention, Elmaron may lead to vision loss.
If you have suffered vision problems after taking Elmaron to treat bladder pain, call the Hearn Law Firm. Elmaron may be responsible for your vision problems, and you may deserve compensation for your injuries.
If you took Elmaron and now have vision problems, call the Hearn Law Firm at 888-308-3866 right now. You could find out if you qualify in less than 2 minutes. Call 888-308-3866 for your free case review.
Have you heard? ServU Credit Union is dropping their auto loan rates with the new buy or refi special. Right now, get an auto loan at 4.99% APR for 72 months. Whether you're buying a new vehicle or looking to refinance your current loan from another lender, ServU's low rates are available to all members, regardless of credit score. Apply online, over the phone, or in person, and drive off with confidence. ServU Credit Union, here to make your borrowing experience safe, easy, and affordable.
Y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
How many times you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-980-2344. That's 1-800-980-2344 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-980-2344.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam is brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact Boss Security today for all your home and business security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And joining me in that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Frank. Good to be with you again.
Well, it's an exciting time of year.
It is. It's
a
busy time. So.
And it's busy not just for the political aspects, so we're going to talk about here in just a moment, but you've been having a lot of fun lately.
Yes, it has been a little fun.
It's not just all work. It's sometimes play. Tell us yesterday your visit up at CCC. This was interesting to me.
Oh, yes. It was fun to watch, fun to be a part of, but very important.
Yeah.
What they have is, we talk about the importance of our after-school programs. They call it the Lights On After School campaign.
Okay.
And so we had a group of young students from the Youth Development Program in Bath who took a bus over. Yeah. And they went up to the Makerspace building up at Corning Community College.
Which is really impressive.
Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
The first time I was there, and how it started out, because in that building they had like the 3D printing, the laser imaging printing to make products. And what it started out with these kids, they all did a drawing that they wanted. They scanned that drawing was scanned into the computer, and then when they went there, they had a process where that image was laser etched onto a product.
Isn't that amazing?
To see their faces and the one picture of the one young individual with their product and on the screen behind them and holding it up with a smile on their faces, and see that, and to introduce our young boys and girls to this type of important technology at a young age, to show them, how that can be fun.
And that's only going to grow, that technology.
Only going to grow.
Because of people like that, the young kids like that get interested in it.
No question about it.
It's amazing.
And I think also, Frank, what it does is it spotlights the importance of these after-school programs. We have the youth center here in Corning. They have one in Hornell. They have this youth development program in Bath, and they have programs like that around the county. And these after-school programs are important, not just to the children for an extension of the learning day of the school, but to parents. Parents are going to work each and every day, and then that period of time when they know their kids are at school, that they know they're at school, but that after period till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock till they get out of work, they worry about their kids.
Of course.
They want to make sure their kids are in a safe place, a reliable place in learning. And the fact of the matter is, if they worry about that, they're not going to be a productive employee. So to know that their child and their children are a safe place that they can be at and learn and grow, that's going to make, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinions, those employees more productive for their employers. I think these after-school programs, as part of the budget, it doesn't get a tremendous amount of funding, but it's a drop in the bucket of what it should. And I think the business groups should get more engaged in this and support this, because they have a vested interest in it. If you want a productive employee, you want to make sure that those employees are comfortable about things at homes, and children are their number one priority for work, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something we need to highlight. And I think seeing the kids there and these important programs, we have great youth programs here in the county and in the region, and we need to be supportive of them because it's really a quality of life issue. But to see the smiles on the kids' faces and see that technology, I mean, I've seen it done before, but to see how
real time,
that picture up on the screen, and then there's the laser etching right on there, and then they were all amazed. So it was really nice to see, and I thought it was important to see the kids be a part of this. But again, to put that spotlight on the importance of these after-school programs for quality of life, not just for the kids, but for the parents and for the business community, quite frankly.
One thing about this program is I ask the questions that people want to know. Did you get to draw a picture and get it etched?
I did not draw a picture. I wanted it was about the kids. It's about the kids.
You didn't jump in front of the line.
I didn't jump the line.
That's funny. And so that's just one of many events, and I'm excited about this next one too, to talk about this because you've always been very active with the Farm Bureau and being with the agriculture. We talk about it a lot on this program. Tell us about that visit.
Well, that was great. I was at the Steuben County Farm Bureau annual meeting Monday. Okay. And we had presentations. Cornell Cooperative Extension, they do a lot of ag in the classroom and education.
Isn't that what you read?
I do.
That's
yes.
right.
March is ag literacy.
That's right.
I go into the classroom and read, and that's always a lot of fun too. And they do a little project. But what they have been doing, since the beginning of the year, I thought was very fascinating. And they were talking about how they go into the classroom and talk to the kids and talk to them about, where do you think your milk comes from? Where do you think your vegetables come from? And someone might say the grocery store.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think some of my colleagues downstate in New York City think the same thing. But they did. The Cornell Cooperative Extension does a great educational outreach program to our kids, and as they went through this process, these kids really developed an appreciation and a thanks to our farmers. And so what they all did is they all wrote these. They put these little things, and the kids drew a little picture up on top, and they all wrote these notes to the farmers. And I was going through them at the dinner, and one of them I pulled out. They really kind of stood out at me. It was really, really impressive.
I'll let you read it. I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see it here.
Yes, it was fantastic. It was from a young lady named Ella. And as you can see up on the screen, she drew a picture of a cow.
Good-looking cow,
it was
too.
Better than I could do.
Yes. That's what you etched up at CCC.
Yeah, right. I could have etched that, right? But at the top, as you can see, it says, "Dear farmer, you are the best. You give us food. Thank you for the hard work you have done for us. You don't have to."
Isn't that nice? And the smiley faces the whole time.
Oh, yes. I mean, it just...
You don't have to. Like you said, it's too bad more people didn't think that way.
We need to take them to help, really, quite frankly, educate some of our colleagues downstate because, there's a lot. There's really, in my opinion, with the policies that are being implemented in the state of New York on our farmers and our agricultural community with regulations, the costs, the mandate, the overtime issues that we've talked about. I think that's very, very challenging, and so my colleagues downstate need to understand this too. Yeah. I mean, I do think someone think that comes from the grocery store or the bodega on the corner.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And we said over and over again, if there are no farms, there is no farm worker. If there are no farms, there is no food. And I think Ella and her colleagues and friends of her own age understand that and grew an appreciation of that. And as you saw people going through them, they were just... These farmers who were there, they really appreciated it.
I'm sure you're touched.
Really
hardworking, and sometimes they've got to feel, especially with some of the policies from Albany and from Governor Hochul, they probably don't always feel like they're getting the pat on the back they deserve. And to have kids appreciate that must be a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and I think that this Cornell Cooperative Extension, hats off to them doing this, and it's not just like during, like I said, the month of March is usually the ag literacy. Ag literacy week, we go in and read in the classroom and they do a little product. But to get to these children so young, at such a young age, on the agricultural side, also on the technology side that we were talking about earlier with Corning Community College and the youth programs, we have to be supportive of those types of programs. And I just think that it was really touching to read that. And I want to thank Ella. I mean, there was a lot of great ones, but as I went through them, I pulled that one out. And I told the Farm Bureau, "Can I take this?
Can I steal this one?"
Yep, and it was
That's
great.
nice. I'm glad we could show it up on the screen. And we're going to talk about, obviously, because it is October the 25th, and there's some things coming up here in a little bit. We're going to be talking about that. But you also did put on kind of another hat, and you were at a recent press conference with Nick Langworthy. I got to see a little bit of that. Congressman Langworthy, who just made that big announcement about that grant or that money coming in for trains. Can you tell us a little bit how the press conference went.
Yeah, no, it was a great press conference. Nick Langworthy, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, of
I've
course.
known him for over 20 years. We worked together back when he was a district director for Congressman Reynolds. I was a district director for Congressman Randy Cole. So he's going throughout the big congressional district, and he did a press conference in Elmira the other day.
Yeah.
I forget which day.
Yeah, that's how this last month has felt like.
Mayor Mandel was there. Sarah Ladin was there from Senator Tom O'Mara's office. And it was really the focus on about affordability. And really, quite frankly, and I've said this over and over again, in New York State, we have an affordability crisis.
Yeah.
We also have a public safety crisis and a quality of life crisis. So, we focus on the affordability side of it, but if I could, I'd really talk about the public safety crisis that we're facing right now. I mean, and it's from all levels. I mean, it starts really with the failed border policies that you see with influx of migrants coming into our state, our country and our state, because of the sanctuary city and sanctuary state policies that we have here, which is very, very troubling. We know about the failed bail reform laws and what happens with that. Catch and release, people who commit crimes, dangerous criminals. So, and we're still right now, because of that, the only state in the nation that does not allow judges the discretion to consider the dangerousness of an individual when setting bail. And what I've said, and an example I've used when I've been speaking during this time, is you've really seen almost a perfect storm of tragedy because of these failed policies that have merged together. And the perfect example is when you talk about our failed border. Just real quick, if I go back to Sanctuary City and saying what that means to, if you don't know, is it means basically law enforcement, because the city is a self-proclaimed sanctuary city, because of Governor Cuomo. He did an executive order saying New York State is a sanctuary state by saying law enforcement can't cooperate, local law enforcement cannot cooperate with federal ICE officials relative to illegal immigrants who commit crimes. They can't communicate with them, and so, which is not proper, in my opinion, and a lot of other people. So how did this perfect storm of all these failed policies work together? First, we have an open border where people are coming across the border unvetted and then just automatically being released into the country. So what happened? We had a Venezuelan immigrant who crossed the border, was checked, released, no background check, nothing, released. Where'd he come? He came to New York City because it's a sanctuary city. It's a magnet because they're giving away benefits to illegal immigrants that are coming here. Housing, debit cards, and the like.
And the debit card, I mean, I know I mentioned this on the show before. I have friends from Pennsylvania because I went to Mansfield. They're texting me and saying, "You're not really doing this." Well, I said, "Well, it's the city." They go, "How do we get a debit card?" I mean, really, they start thinking that way. And
it's very, very concerning. So this Venezuelan immigrant comes across the border. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they let him go because of their policies. Comes to New York City, commits a crime in New York City. Because we're a sanctuary city, sanctuary state, those local law enforcement cannot cooperate with federal ICE officials. Say, hey, listen, we have an illegal immigrant who committed a crime down here, get him out of the country. No, they let him go. Didn't notify the federal ICE official. What happened? That individual went to Georgia. What did he do? He murdered, killed student Laken Riley, which is a well-known name across the country because of that. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this is the criminal justice policy that are happening in the state. And even Governor Hochul put out a press release last week citing that gun violence in New York State is down.
I'm glad
that was selective statistics.
So I actually had, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we brought this up on the show yesterday because it was about safety in general, and without reading the whole piece, of course. If you look at the numbers, the numbers that she used came from only 28 of more than 500 police departments in the entire state.
And even the 28, because they call it the GIV program, they report statistics back to the DCJS, and they're valid numbers, but she used it from 2021, which was a peak of gun violence during COVID. And so she said the numbers have dropped. So yes, the numbers have dropped since 2021, but you really need to get a real understanding of it. You have to go back to 2019, look at the 5-year period pre-COVID. Well, if you do that for New York City and those other 28, through the GIV program, shooting violence, shooting injury reports, shootings are up 20 to 25% across all those municipalities, including the city of New York. So gun violence isn't down, it's up. But she used selective statistics to show her narrative that saying gun violence is down. It's just incorrect.
Do you think this is what was my kind of thought on it yesterday, she had such a disastrous performance when it came to what happened with Lee Zeldin, not just in that race, but securing Republicans with the majority in the House because we did so well in New York. And there's this pressure on her that this is kind of her shot of redemption. She better, or she's not going to be kind of that national figure. She's not going to get a chance to speak at the DNC, no matter how disastrous that speech was. She got to speak. I think she's seeing the writing on the wall that it's not looking great, so she has to come out with these numbers so that they can use it in their congressional races.
Well, she can manipulate numbers all she wants, but the fact
Doesn't
of the
work.
matter is gun violence
Yeah.
is not at record lows.
No.
Gun violence is up under this administration, and if you look back to 2019, again, New York City, Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, the big cities, those programs that are part of that, those 28, those statistics, they all are up 20 to 25%, hands down. So there's no disputing that. Those are their own numbers, and that's just unfortunate. So that was the public safety side of it.
Right.
Nick, we talked about the affordability crisis, which is going on is going on.
Well, those two issues are so similar because it's never mind what you see with your own eyes and feel. Believe Hochul, believe it's outlandish.
And the thing is, people want to feel safe in their community. Unfortunately, they don't feel safe in their community because of these failed policies that we're seeing, whether it's bail reform, whether it's an open border, whether it's the migrant crisis that's going on. And I think that's unfortunate and it's unacceptable. So we talked about that a little bit. I kind of went off script a little bit because when I talked about it, I wanted to bring that up because, like I say, it's a public safety, affordability, and all that affects the quality of life crisis. And the affordability side of it, we know what's going on with record high inflation. I mean, they always say, well, look, inflation is down. Okay, it might be down, but it's still, prices are still going. Those prices didn't drop from the numbers. I mean, they're still up where the price of eggs, gas pump, wherever you go, grocery, anywhere, they're still up. So they can't pat themselves on the back. So I kind of like to say what's going on in New York State as, a New York State representative.
Of course.
The state of New York overspends. I mean, I know
clearly.
the federal policy called the Inflation Reduction Act. It was the Inflation Creation Act, quite frankly. But in New York State, in 2019, since 2019, under one-party control, state spending in New York State has increased by $66 billion. Our budget is increasing by $66 billion, or 38%. It went from $173 billion in the budget we passed in 2019 to $239 billion this year. And what are we spending? I mean, I think unfortunately, families can't spend like that.
No.
Businesses can't spend like that.
We wish we could.
But I think my colleagues in the legislature, unfortunately, sometimes think it's their money, and they forget it's the viewers' money, the taxpayer money, and we need to be more cognizant of that. And what are we spending some of that money on? We talked about the migrant crisis.
Yeah.
$4.3 billion has been spent on the migrant crisis by New York State taxpayers because of Governor Hochul and the progressive socialists in the legislature. $4.3 billion. That $4.3 billion is more than we spend on our veterans, our seniors, and the homeless combined. I mean, talk about untouched, misused, misplaced priorities. It's just ridiculous. And another one I just like to throw out there that we talk about during budget time. Nearly $1 billion is spent on the Hollywood film tax credit to help subsidize the Hollywood elites. And some of these programs that have benefited from the Jimmy Fallon show in New York City. We're helping to subsidize Jimmy Fallon's salary. And the other one is Saturday Night Live. Since 2015, Saturday Night Live has received over $50+ million from taxpayers for this film tax credit. And I like to say, I say this on the floor during the debate, most years. I'm like, how do they start out their show every week? Live from where?
Live from New York.
Live from New York.
They're
not live from Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not going anywhere. We're
No.
going to stay in New York,
No.
and they don't deserve taxpayer-funded money. No. And of course, we talked about what's going on with the Green New Deal, how much it's going to cost New Yorkers if we don't even change the methodology to measure emissions and don't do the mandate and don't change the mandates. If we don't change that 20-year methodology, which every other state, for the most part, nation and international uses a 100-year methodology, it will increase prices at the gas pump by 63 cents a gallon and increase natural gas home heating costs by 79%. So there's affordability crisis, a public safety crisis, which certainly impacts the quality of life crisis in the state of New York, and we need to change that.
Speaking of wasting money, I saw this on Empire Report this morning. We've talked about it so often with these illegal sticker stores and the marijuana laws here. Listen to this report, and I saved it just because I knew you were going to be on the program. New York's cannabis fund is such a disaster. We all know that. We know this whole thing was a rollout. Yet the manager of the cannabis fund earned $1.7 million.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that? I mean,
you can't make this crap up.
No.
I apologize for the language on TV.
I was just glad you said that.
I know, right?
I'll take that as a win.
But it's really unfortunate. This cannabis management, you see what's going on with these illegal sticker stores. We can do a better job of dealing with that. We put some provisions in the budget.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a better job of cleaning those up, for sure.
Yeah, and we don't have to get into that because I do want to talk about the election. But you had mentioned the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the complete opposite. I was talking to someone the other day, and I thought they had a really good point. We started talking about Prop 1, and I want to get into Prop 1 here, but we'll probably take a break first. But they said, I was explaining what Prop 1 was, because if you just pay attention to the media, you pay attention to the signs, it's a pro-abortion amendment, right? Yeah. And I was telling them that if you look at it, there's nothing in there that mentions abortion whatsoever, and not to mention abortion is safe in New York. I mean, we all know that. So I was explaining to him, and the person said, so this is kind of like the Inflation Reduction Act. And it took me a second to understand what they're saying. They're saying they're selling it as a complete opposite almost of what it is.
Yes, it is.
Isn't that's a good comparison, I thought?
Yes, absolutely. And there's no mention, like you said, there's no mention of the word abortion. They put pregnancy and pregnancy outcomes, but no mention of the word abortion. I know Ohio did a referendum, and specifically was on abortion, and that went to the voters and passed. We don't have referendums like that. But this is more of a serious issue because we're talking about changing the Constitution.
Yes.
I mean, right now, the Constitution says, obviously race, color, creed, and religion is protected. And what this does, this bill, this amendment that's going to be before the voters on Prop 1,
right.
Is it expands it. And I'll just read some of the things.
Yes, please do.
Ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy outcomes, reproductive health care, and autonomy. And those ones I just said are all protected under statute. But I think they bring up some very, very good concerns because they refer to this as the Equal Rights Amendment. It's anything but.
No.
First and foremost, this is an assault on parental rights over healthcare decisions 100%. for their minor children. Think about this right now. A school nurse cannot provide a Tylenol to a student without parental permission. A minor cannot get tanning sessions without parental permission.
Good point. Don't you think
but with this expansion in age and specific gender identity and gender expression, making it a constitutional amendment, that there's a lot of concern out there, and from me and a number of people, that this will overcome the parental rights of decisions for health care for their children. I mean, think about someone wants to identify as a male or female, getting transgender care, puberty blockers, possible surgeries.
Yeah.
Schools can use this constitutional right as a way to prevent that from talking to parents. I mean, there's issues. I mean, there's lawsuits where parents have sued school districts because a child was transitioning, but the parents were not aware of it. They kept that from the parents. That's unacceptable. I mean, and then you think they could puberty blockers and things like that could be provided to students without the parental notification. I mean, it's crazy. It just doesn't make sense.
Mike Sapercone, who's running against Gillibrand, they had a debate the other night, and he raised that good point. You don't have a right to go into any locker room, essentially. I'm paraphrasing, and that's what this is doing. But that's one of many things. We talked with Senator Borrello, but also we talked with Bobby Ann Cox, and she's actually going to be on the program the Monday before election because she's brilliant on this. Yes. And we were talking about it. And put aside what you think about the locker rooms, those things. At the end of the day, if nothing else, there's going to be so many lawsuits because of this. Senator Borrello mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing, this is not exactly how he put it, but if you're in jail for a statutory rape, and now all of a sudden age is on there, why wouldn't you? Hey, why not go with a lawsuit? And that's more cost.
There's so much concern on this. And the other one on this issue, to take it even further, is we want to protect girls' sports.
Yes.
I mean, I heard Riley Gaines speak. I mean, obviously she dealt with it at a collegiate level, and she's a brilliant speaker. She's been speaking across the country on this issue too. Obviously she was a nationally acclaimed swimmer.
They tried to destroy her.
And the whole issue with Leah Thomas. But we want to protect sports for our girls at the high school level, at the collegiate level. Now, and this would allow, this could really infringe on those ability for, girls to get placed on teams.
Yeah.
Scholarships.
I think that's something that's overlooked. Think about that. These young girls have worked their whole life, and you know how sports isn't like back in our day where you practice maybe once a day. They're spending their free time to get there, to try to get a scholarship, try to better themselves, and that's taken away in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and it's wrong. It shouldn't be accepted. And also, just for the viewers and listeners out there, there's also a proposal right now before the New York State Board of Regents, which they tabled. And this is mind-blowing to me. This doesn't even involve transgender. It's beyond that. It says that boys would be allowed to participate in girls' sports if there is no equal boys' sport. So a lot of high school schools are like here. I think of here in Corning. There's a girls' volleyball team. There's not a boys' volleyball team. So boys would be able to play on the girls' volleyball team. there's a girls softball team. There's not a boys softball, so
interesting
boys would be able to
point.
go play on a softball team. And then think about if there was not a boys swimming team, or what if there wasn't a boys wrestling team, but there was a girls wrestling team. I mean, and we know the advantages that come with being a biological male. But even if you're transgender into a female, you have physical advantages. It's well documented. I'm not a doctor, but it's out there.
Right.
And to think that we're looking at this and we are in jeopardized sports for our young girls here at every level, whether it's
put them in harm's
high
way
school,
too.
Yes, put them in harm's
It's
way.
not just about scholarships.
Yes, you're right, and about fairness. So, and the other part of this proposition, which really scares me and makes me very nervous, is the part about this as national origin.
Yes.
Because what this will do is this can open up the door. We see about non-citizens getting benefits. We know I said $4.3 billion from New York State taxpayers. We know what's going to say. This would open up the door for non-citizens to get eligibility to taxpayer-funded benefits, health care, housing, whatever it may be. But what about our veterans, our military, our homeless, our seniors? What about them? And the other one that scares me in this is voting.
There's no doubt.
We already in New York City passed a local law a couple of years ago that said that it will allow non-citizens to vote.
Yeah.
The courts threw that out, thank God. Yeah. But now if this passed,
they get the same protections as
they could use this decision to say, okay, we're going to allow non-citizens to vote in the city of New York, and then what's next? The state of New York. It's mind blowing. You can't make this stuff up. No. So they're trying to advocate. It's all about. This has nothing to do with abortion. This has a full wide range and expansion that are going to have negative implications for parents, families, girls, all across the board. So I'm definitely urging a no vote on this, but. If you're not sure, please educate yourself. It's more than the words on that document in front of you.
Yes.
The implications, please listen to the experts out there, because this is very, very significant.
Well, isn't it even worded quite differently on the ballot, is the way I understand?
Yeah.
It's not what you just read, because it gets kind of legalese.
It does. And there's also aspects of it that have been talked about that it almost like, say, to ensure that there's no discrimination, it would allow reverse discrimination.
Yes.
So we can discriminate against other individuals, other races, and things of that nature, so to make sure that the discrimination doesn't take place. So it's basically could end up in a reverse discrimination. There's a lot at stake at this election. You hear it over and over again. Yeah. But this ballot, you turn your ballot over and make sure you vote for this proposition, and please learn about it. Yeah. I would urge a no vote, and it's very, very concerning for sure.
It is very. Just before we go to break, ending on this note, again from Empire Report, they were on fire this morning. So they call it the pro-abortion amendment. It's from Politico. We know it's not. Doesn't mention abortion. I want to make that point clear. Abortion is going to be here in New York to stay. Campaign for pro-abortion amendment in New York spends big on overhead. So all of this, they're spending all this money on overhead to try to get this across the finish line, and a $2.4 million ad buy is coming. Right. So there's going to be a lot of, for lack of a better term, propaganda out there on this. So do your research. You don't have to take my word for it. We're going to have Bobby Ann Cox, who admitted on the program on the last time, not admitted, that's the wrong way to word it, but said that she is not a Republican, and she's telling you to vote no.
Yeah, and I think that's when you think, there are Democrats out there that want to protect sports for their daughters.
Yes. And there's people
Democrats out there that want citizens
fairness
to vote, not non-citizens.
Yes.
There are Democrats out there that want to have the say in healthcare decisions for their minor children. So this is, it's been described as a Trojan horse, or a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah. So please educate yourself. Please listen to Bobby Ann Cox on Monday.
Not the day before election. The day before.
But please educate yourself. This proposition, this so-called equal rights amendment, which is anything but, will have far-reaching implications for generations to come.
And ask yourself a question: why are the signs just saying "vote yes" for Prop 1? Why is it not giving any specifics? Have you noticed that? There's a reason, because the vote no very often has specifics. But we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Have you been unable to work for over a year due to a mental or physical disability?
Were you recently denied Social Security disability benefits? Great news. You may be eligible for money, back pay, relief.
If you've been pre-qualified and diagnosed with a recognized condition that prohibits you from working, our lawyers can file a claim to get your disability benefit.
Call us today and find out more.
Call now, 844-617-0440.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-980-2344. That's 1-800-980-2344 or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-980-2344 now.
The Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Before we get back to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, we had a couple comments. I think they were mostly pertaining to the topics we were discussing before Phil came on, so I'm going to field these ones. Hello, Frank. Well, hello. Do you believe Liz Cheney would be attacking Nikki Haley if she had received the nomination? Would the attack still be all about Trump because she was part of his administration? Well, she was in Congress at that time. I would. Oh, Nikki Haley, you're saying? No, I don't think Liz Cheney would be as relevant in this scenario. What I would say though is the headline you would see after Nikki Haley won would be, "Is Nikki Haley actually worse than Trump?" Because we saw that with DeSantis. So yeah, the attacks Nikki Haley would have had it bad too. Hey, Frank, it's Sergeant Dave. Hey, Dave. They say that Trump is going to do all these horrible things when he gets in office. Well, why didn't he do them in his first term? Just more scare tactics. Oh, and Democrats did that to him for 4 years and used the whole Democrat court system. Yes, thank you very much. And finally, this is kind of a question for Phil, but I don't think anybody has an answer for this. If everything is so messed up in New York State, is it because of the media bias? If so, how will we ever be able to wake up the woke? And how bad does it have to get? How bad does it have to get in New York?
Well, I think it's bad, and as more and more people realize the negative implications of these laws that are passed, the implications, like the energy policy, which we talked about a lot, and how it impacts them when they might have to convert their home over from natural gas and pay $35,000 to convert their homes over to full electric. They're going to start realizing when they see their energy bills spiking beyond belief because of the green policies that are mandated. They're going to realize it. When we see about mandate for electric school buses and property taxes, they're going to realize it. So there's a whole host of issues we see in the crime. We just need people to get engaged and vote and participate in the process.
And we have a question that just came in, Phil, and I'm not sure, but it's for you specifically. Good morning, Frank. Well, thank you. We'll count that. Can you ask Phil what he is doing to get natural gas in New York? I don't know if that means fracking.
Well, I mean, natural gas first. I mean, natural gas, we do, 60% of the New Yorkers heat their homes with natural gas. 40% of our generation is from natural gas. I mean, I would love to see fracking in New York State. Unfortunately, the legislature passed a law banning it. I believe we should have it, especially in the southern tier. We don't need to have it around the Finger Lakes, but or New York City watershed. But in the southern tier, which we had a tremendous opportunity, that's I know Congressman Langworthy supports that. All of us support that, but it's banned. But what I'm hoping and fighting tooth and nail for is that we don't ban the use of natural gas. I mean, because we've seen pipeline projects.
I think that's
get
probably
dismantled.
what that means.
Yeah. We got pipeline projects get dismantled and voted down, and there is proposals out there really to dismantle. Called the HEAT Act. They would dismantle the natural gas infrastructure supply and delivery system, take away consumer choice on how you heat your home, cook your food, power your buildings, and the vehicle you drive. It will jeopardize the reliability of the grid. It's going to lead to further nation-leading out-migration. We lost nearly 500,000 New Yorkers the past year. And if you talk to businesses, when you talk about energy policy, they care about two things: affordability and reliability. If they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they're going to go elsewhere. So yeah, we need to fight that, and we're going to continue to have a very outspoken Senator Marin and others.
I know. Thank you for that question, viewer. Okay, now let's get into, as I said, it's nearing that time. Election day, early voting actually starts tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit about the races. What are you seeing out there? What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, for your viewers listen, please participate in the process. Please vote. Please, if you're not sure, look up the candidate. From my perspective, I have a pretty clear understanding, so I'm happy to share it. But seriously, at the congressional level, Nick Langworthy, he's a friend. I've known him for 20 years. He's a fighter. He was a fighter as a state chair for the values and principles that we hold dear, I think. I worked with him. I was with him the other day so passionate, making sure that their voice is heard in Washington, and he does a great job. So I would highly recommend people who are listeners, voting for Nick Langworthy. My good friend Tom O'Mara.
Of course.
We've been friends for a long time. He went in the Senate when I went in the Assembly. He's a great advocate. There's no stronger advocate in Albany than Tom O'Mara. So obviously, for him, we are losing two really close friends of mine.
Yeah.
Joe Giglio, Marge Burns. Joe represents the southwest portion of Steuben County and then goes into Allegheny and Cattaraugus County. He's retiring. He was like a big brother to me, and I went to him for advice all the time. And now Joe Stempolinski, who's a regular on your show, will be running for that seat. Our former congressman. He's going to do a great job. I hate to say he's gotten the bet. He's going to win.
Yeah. You seen that ad of his?
Yes.
It's great, isn't it?
It's a very great ad. It's a great family.
Yeah,
so,
he's doing it.
And I have to say to the viewers out there that I say this over the past couple of years, when I see, we owe Joe a debt of gratitude. I mean, when we had the vacancy in Congress, when Tom Reed stepped down, there's a 4 months vacancy. A lot of people didn't want to do it. So why would I go to Congress for 4 months? It wasn't about being in Congress for 4 months for Joe Stempolinski. What it was about for Joe Stempolinski is that he wanted to make sure the people of this congressional had a voice. Someone down there acting in their interest, speaking out. And he went down there. He just didn't go there and sit on his hands. He went down there and worked. He had legislation passed.
I wanted him to. I worked for him. I wanted him to sit on his hands. I said, can you take it easy here, Joe?
He's great.
He was nonstop.
He's going to be.
I've talked about it a million times on this program, but he did and this was my side of things. This is why I remember it so much. He did a press call with any media member that wanted to be on the last day he was in office. So the day that he was getting, the new Langworthy was getting sworn in, he's still doing press conference. He busted as you know what in that 4 months, and that's why I was so excited to see that he was running for Assembly, because he's going to work just as hard in Assembly as he did in Congress.
I don't know if this is the right word, bittersweet. I mean, I'm going to miss Joe Giglio terrible.
Yeah.
He's my friend. He's my big brother. He was my mentor. He was there. I could always go to him. I'm going to miss him. But he sent me a note. He goes, "You can always call me. Big brothers, you can always call me." But I'm so excited to have Joe Stempolinski, Joe, in a conference. He's going to be such a positive and incredible addition to our conference, a strong voice for Steuben County, the southern tier, in this entire state of New York. So I'm excited about him. And Marge Burns, my good friend who's leaving, well-deserved retirement for her as well. Andrea Bailey, in that district, for her, is the northwest part of the district.
We haven't had a chance to talk to her only because it doesn't really work.
And she's a living conflict. She's going to do a good job. And I should go back too. I forgot because they redistricted Congress again. There's Steuben County is going to be broken into two congressional offices. Claudia Tenney, she's another strong advocate. If you're in the Wayne-Cohocton area, in the northwest part of the district, I've been with Claudia. We came into the Assembly in 2010 together. She was always a strong advocate for the values and principles and ideas that we hold dear. She's going to continue to be that voice. She has been in Congress, and she will continue to do that.
I got to see her because, when it split up, we never really got to see her for obvious reasons for the district. I saw her at an event last week. It was nice she does such a great job. She like you said, fighter is the right word.
Yep. Her and we always talk about how when Steuben County got broken up into three, well, you really got three advocates for Steuben County.
You really did.
Now I have two advocates in Steuben County and Chemung, or not Steuben County specifically, for in Congress, which is a good thing. So that's good. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my good friend, our sheriff. The most popular elected official in Steuben County. I saw him last night, him and his wife Wendy. He does a fantastic job. We're so blessed to have a sheriff and a leader like him, who's on the forefront of public safety, who's basically well-known, well-respected from law enforcement across the state of New York. So,
and you think about not just public safety, but the public outreach as well. He does so much in the community, and we have press releases here. We have him on frequently on the show. You Joe, and him are like, you could take over the show and no one would miss me. You guys are the popular ones.
I don't know about
but I just push the buttons in that case. But he does a great job, and I love to hear about behind the scenes what they're working on. I mean, you saw, I'm sure at the Bath Fair, at the Steuben County Fair, where they have that display about distracted driving. I mean, all those things that they do and put together, just remarkable. I know he's running unopposed, but
but it's important. Hopefully, if you see our show, just tell him thank you. He does a great job for us. And we talk about judges. I mean, a lot of times we're talking about politicians a lot, but judges, they run every so often, and for rightfully so. But the court, we need strong judges who interpret the Constitution and follow the Constitution, not make and advocate laws from the bench. And so we have two Supreme Court seats up. I've been around. I've seen them traveling around the area. Same as me, Stacey Romeo.
Yeah.
She's currently a judge in Monroe County, doing a great job, and she's also an acting Supreme Court justice. Covers when people aren't there. And Ed White, that are running for those seats, I certainly appreciate them.
Since you're talking about them, I'm going to shamelessly promote my show while you do this, okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Just so you know, on Tuesday next week, we will be speaking with Ed White, and then on Wednesday, it'll be Stacey Romeo. So if you don't know, because listen, there's a lot going on right now nationally, locally. If you haven't had an opportunity to hear from them, you will have an opportunity on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's not too late to get your questions in, though judicial races are a little weird on questions, but okay.
So. And then there's 2 other ones that are running, 3 other ones. Chris Tunney is running for
that's right.
county judge race. For Pat McAllister's vacant seat. Who's going to be leaving him? Pat McAllister, we all know, who's delivered a great decision about redistricting a couple of years ago. So respected. He's stepping down, and we're going to miss him. But Chris Tunney is running for that seat, and then Chris Fertella is running for city court judge.
Right.
And why that happened, which I'd like to transition to the next race.
That's a good transition
for Steuben County and family court judge.
Yeah.
Phil Roach, a good friend of mine, stepped down, resigned from that earlier in the year. Judge Matt McCarthy, our current city court judge, is running for that seat. For your viewers, listeners out there, I just want to be very clear. I am wholeheartedly supporting and endorsing my support for Judge Matt McCarthy. I've known Matt for over 20 years. He's a man of character. He understands it. He is by far, without question, uncontested. The other side can't even contest this. The most qualified, the most experienced, courtroom experience, trial experience, legal knowledge, legal experience, by far the most qualified. And don't just take it from me and from my endorsement. I might sound, because I know him.
Yep.
Sure, he's a friend, but how about the New York State Troopers PBA?
Yeah.
Has endorsed him. The New York State Police Investigators Association has endorsed him. How about retiring Judge Phil Roach has endorsed him. Retired Judge Peter Bradstreet has endorsed him. So if you don't want to take my word, look at the experts who know. So please get out there and support Matt. He's a great guy. He'll do a great job. He's a man of great character, and you can count on him to work very, very hard for you and the residents of Steuben County.
And we're going to be talking to him next Friday. We talked to him once before, and it's interesting because you remember that Corning race when he ran for Corning City, and that was a knockdown, drag out. I talked to those guys every day for a while, and it was so interesting. I guess you know the election is over, the smoke clears, you don't really think about it. All of a sudden he gets that job and he gets a call. Oh yeah, by the way, now you're acting county judge.
That's the other thing. I mentioned that with Stacey Romeo, acting Supreme Court judge. Matt has been doing the job. So he's been doing the job as city court judge, but he's also been doing the job at the county level. So this is a natural transition. You don't need on-the-job training. He has it. He's done it. He's delivered it. So again, most qualified, the best experience, and great character. He'll do a great job for us. He'll work hard for us. So I would definitely urge everyone to join me and members of the State Police Troopers Association, members of the State Police Investigators Association, former Judge Bradstreet and former Judge Roach, and let's circle that box for Judge Matt McCarthy to be our next Steuben County and Family Court judge.
I got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your campaign. And it's going to be the tough questions. But before that, we got a comment from a viewer, and I'll have you think about this during the break too. Joe Sempolinski for governor, Phil Palmisano for lieutenant governor, and that would be the dream team for upstate New York. What do you think? We'll let you think about it. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Enjoy a taste Finger Lakes at Hector Hideaway.
With a lunch and dinner menu, we serve a variety of delicious dishes made with locally sourced ingredients. Dine inside or out on the deck for gorgeous lake views and pair your meal with a local wine, beer, or beverage. We're open until 9 p.m. Thursday through Monday, but the bar is open until midnight Fridays and Saturdays. Stay tuned for live music. Visit us today at Hector Hideaway.
World Series on WYDC TV Big Fox is brought to you by ServU Credit Union.
Should be electric today. The crowd, the atmosphere, this is what makes it special.
Here we go.
This is what we do. Sensational.
Big noon kickoff Saturday.
And we are back. The Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact Boss Security for all your business and home security needs. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Phil, just quickly, because we have a second, I want to ask about your campaign. We were talking this morning in New York City. It's not you in Albany, or otherwise I'm sure we would have heard about it by now. They're talking about giving employees paid sick leave to take care of their pets. You think about all the things you've talked about this morning that we're dealing with in New York, the mass exodus, the inflation, the public safety, and that's where they're focusing.
I'm almost speechless for the first time. I mean, it's like if it wasn't true, it'd be funny. It's true. Yeah. And I mean, just misplaced priorities. I mean, if you want to deal with a sick pet, you have personal leave, vacation time, but paid leave, give me a break. It's mind blowing to me. But if it's being proposed in New York City, it'll be proposed in Albany next because we have socialists in the list.
I'm gonna have to run out and get a dog.
Yeah, right. It's unbelievable.
I need a vacation.
Such misplaced priorities. Again, it's another example of it.
I know. But now here's the tough question: how's your campaign going? It's going to be a nail biter.
It's been going well. I mean, I'm running around the district. I go to events. I cover events. I work like I have an opponent, and I do bit, but I'm just working, and I do this full time around the clock, and I'm just try to be much valuable in the community. We have a great staff, trying to solve problems. So, and I will say, if I could, just to the viewers and the listeners, 14 years ago, you put your trust and confidence to be your voice in Albany in the New York State Assembly, and I can't tell you how much that means to me, how humbled I am by that. I take this job very seriously, and all I can tell you is I promise to honor the trust and confidence you have continued to place in me year after year. I will honor that trust and confidence by continuing to be a strong voice and advocate for you in Albany, helping to fight for the constituents here in this district, and to make sure your voice is heard in Albany. But I can't tell you again how humbled I am by the support, the friendship, the relationships I've established with people throughout this district, the business community, our agriculture community, everybody. Yeah. So really, I appreciate this opportunity to say thank you. You've been great to me, and I just hope I'll continue to do the best I can to, again, represent your interests and make sure your voice is heard in Albany.
Well, Phil, thanks for being on the show now and always. You've been on the show. I can't believe it's been 14 years because that means we've been talking for 14 years. Isn't that amazing? I think since day one we were talking about fracking, by the way.
Oh, yes,
I think nothing's changed.
That's true.
Some things never change. All right, that does it for us today. Thanks again, Phil. Don't forget, coming up on Monday, we'll be talking with Michaela Rossetti Azimi, running for Steuben County Court and Family Court. Tuesdays, New York State Supreme Court, Ed White. Wednesday, New York State Supreme Court, Stacey Romeo. Thursday, former Congressman Joe Sempolinski. Friday, Matt Bazzetti out of Chemung County, running for Family Court. And on Friday at 7:30, Matt McCarthy running for Steuben County Court and Family Court. Kind of almost like a re-election because he's acting. And on Monday, right before Election Day, Bobby Ann Cox. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll be back Monday morning with Frankly Speaking only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. I look forward to it already.